This right here is a relic of the past. An IBM RS 6000 43P from around 96 or 97. And it was discontinued around 98 or 99. I forget exactly which year it was, but whatever. It's a 43P model 140 RS 6000 with a bunch of crap stacked on it. And originally, this machine had the old oval IBM logo, but now this has a new IBM logo, the new one, not the older oval. Anyhow, this machine is a relic of the past. This machine is a relic of when the internet was seen as an optimistic place. It's when they told kids, don't give out your real name on the internet. It's when you turn on your computer and you'd get news and other cool web content and not obvious propaganda and messages about how the internet needs to be censored more and censorship pushes. No. This was from a time when the internet was seen as an optimistic place, as a time when the internet was seen as the future, a good future, not some dystopian hell. This is when technology was the way forward, when it was progress and all of that. This is from that time period of optimism, not another website got shut down by some company. Oh, it's a private company, who cares? They can shut down what they want. This was before that, people. And the reason I'm talking about this is because this RS 6000 was actually originally used as a server. Now, these RS 6000s, especially the 43P series, were sold as both workstation and server. The workstation versions had a video card, the server versions did not, and when you turn them on, you'd get a console instead. You can still get a console on this by unplugging the keyboard and mouse. However, I decided to add in a video card, and what do you know, the 43P has all the hardware needed to make it a workstation. It's got the sound in it, it's got the keyboard and mouse ports, it's got that. So, let's turn on the RS 6000 43P, model 140. So, let's look at the front. As you can see, there's a CD drive, which can play back audio CDs. There's a tape drive, because like I said, this was used as a server at one point from Seagate. There's a floppy drive. The front panel's missing because the case did get some damage in shipping because it wasn't quite secured right. Here's the hard drive light and power light. The reset switch, which lets you reset the system. You have to hold it down, but it resets the system instantly, unlike on the ones with service processors. And the power switch. Now, this system does not have a service processor, so there's no OK. It's just off. And now it's on. So this right here displays the boot status of the machine, kind of like the front panel in newer RS 6000s, and it posts a lot quicker than the newer RS 6000s because this was also meant to be a workstation. So instead of waiting for minutes as it has to do all its tests, you maybe only have to wait 30 seconds to a minute, just the typical with many Unix workstations this age. You just wait for it to do the test as it flashes up codes on its nice orange display. Now let's take a look at the display. So, right now we're being told press 1 to select this console because there are several different consoles you can use, either the terminal or that. So I'm going to hit 1. And now we're going to hit F1 to get into the main menu because I think it's F1. Now as you can see, you get a graphical logo that just says RS 6000, unlike on the newer power systems where you'll get a logo but say the icons that indicate each part that's being initialized are just text. And it does this in the console mode, but when you've got video, it'll do that. Also of note, copyright Apple Computer 1994-1996. That's because this machine was being used as, this was made around the time when Apple's clone project was around. I wouldn't say it was quite being used for clone stuff, but this was around that time period when Apple and IBM and Motorola were working together to make some universal PowerPC standards. And this machine is actually a prep machine. It's based on the prep standard, but unlike some other prep machines, it can't run some of the other PowerPC OSs like Windows NT 4. It can only run AIX and Linux and that kind of stuff. Anyhow, the RS6000 43P Model 140, this machine is prep based. This also means it can't run AIX 5.3. It's stuck at AIX 5.1. Let's go to config. Let's click here. So as you can see, you get a GUI menu, unlike some of the later RS6000s, where you just get a command line menu that can be a little intimidating. Instead, you get this setup menu that's styled after the ThinkPad's Easy Setup menu. And on the PowerPC ThinkPads, this is called Easy Setup. So we've got a 9 gig hard disk, CD-ROM at ID3. 9 gigs was a lot when this was new. You've got the diskette, display panel, a PowerPC 604E at 233 MHz. This is interesting because another Apple connection is the fact that IBM and Apple were sharing some of the earlier PowerPC processors, and there were both IBM RS6000s and Apple Macs made with the PowerPC 601 and the PowerPC 604. Some RS6000s, like the ThinkPad laptop, also had the 603E in it. So we've got the firmware version, the serial number, which does not match up with the front of the machine. Firmware date was 1999. And there's some firmware part number. Security OK. PCI adapters. It has the display adapter in slot 4. Says it's got audio, keyboard, mouse, diskette, that stuff. Boot. Just like a ThinkPad, you can change the boot order. However, this is in somewhat of a hybrid of a ThinkPad style and the text stuff. It's interesting. And you can use the mouse to click. So it boots the disk, tape, CD-ROM, hard disk, and then network boots. So you got utilities. Not a lot. You could just change a password, check the error log. So we can see that there was an error today. 25A80011. However, it must not have been enough to display in the whole menu. Because if there is an error, it'll display a triangle sign over there, like say if the battery's dead, for example. Unlike where it'll just spit the air out in the middle of the screen like the newer ones. It doesn't do that here. RIPL for remote booting, SCSI IDs, firmware update. You can choose the console there. Let's hit exit. Now this does have the same startup chime as the rare PowerPC ThinkPad. This has the same startup chime. And I think there's actually a WAV file online. So AIX is booting. It's displaying a few icons on the front panel as the OS boots, because unlike the newer ones where it'll say welcome to AIX when you've got the video card open, this will not do that. You just have to rely on the front panel for it to tell you that it's booting. Or if it threw up an error message, you will have to do that. Because unlike the newer ones, this will not do that. And I think it's about to load, so let's switch back to the monitor. Still says starting software, please wait. And now it just flashed up the signal. We've got the green cursor, starting login display. Because AIX is interesting, it loads X before it loads all the services. As you can see, there's your good old AIX logo, and up here, it's loading everything onto the system. It's loading everything onto the system with this nice Vaporwave AIX logo, straight out of the 90s. You turn this thing on, you see this logo, and you're like, yeah, this is definitely the 90s here, people. We're definitely in 1995. Everything's vaporwave and all. Everything's so cool. This is the future. You see what I mean when I was telling you this is the future? And you get this feeling when you turn on the computer that this is the future? That's what's great about Unix machines from this era. You get that feeling. That feeling that you're warping yourself into a future that never was, when everybody would be optimistic about tech and not accepting, you know, just sitting back and be like, man, I'm on Facebook again, I don't care if the government's got my info and stuff. No. This was a brighter time. And this machine makes you remember that. So let's log in as root. Let's log in as root. Starting the common desktop environment, it doesn't have a million copyrights like say HPUX would. And here you've got CDE. You've powered up an AIX system or HPUX or Solaris. You know this. You know exactly what you're going to get. You know you're going to get screensavers. You know you're going to get those vaporwave as hell screensavers. And you know you're going to get a display locked by root screen when you try to, you know you're going to get one of those screens. See, look at these screensavers. They are sick vaporwave aesthetics right here. It's just so 90s. Of course, every OS with CDE has it, but still, it's great to look at. Just set your AIX system back. And then when you're doing other stuff and people walk by, they'll think you're a real nerd. Same with HPUX. Or all that other stuff. So right here, we're back here. We're going to fire up some stuff. And it threw an error message because this is fucking AIX. What the fuck did I do? Oh, I think I know what happened. I SSH'd into the other system, and so it screwed something up because I was remoting into this earlier on another computer. So let me fix something real quick. So something seemed to get trashed with CDE when I remoted into it from another computer, and I'll have to fix that later. Either that or I'll just reinstall AIX, because that's the good old way of fixing everything, is just to reinstall the OS. Anyhow, let's have some fun. So, we got a system admin panel for AIX. And we can change stuff like software. First off, we've got the web, I think it's the web one. And this lets you change stuff. This lets you see stuff like, you have to open up a new one for every window, which sucks, but unlike the newer one, but you can see stuff here like your OS. Attributes, location, system console, date and time, user interface, system dump. You can choose the login interface without graphical boot command line. You can do system dumps here. Or not system dumps, so you can change the system dump device and all that. So let's back out of this. Exit. XPowerM. I think this is a power management thing for like standby. But this seems to be for the ThinkPad 800s. Because you'll notice it talks about like standby laptop lids. I think this is for the ThinkPad 800s, which did support like standby and whatnot. Devices, all that. Let's forget about this and let's go do some fun stuff with this. So you've got Netscape Communicator on here, which is the typical browser you'd expect from a computer this age. Bit slow. And it probably doesn't go to many sites anymore. See? Like it barely goes on Google nowadays. But back then, if you had an RS 6000, you could still use it to browse the web and do all that stuff. Let's go to Multimedia and have some fun. So let's go to Master Settings. Master Volumes all the way up. Let's go to Media Samples. Now there's also a CD player. And on AIX 4.3, this actually works. You can actually play back CDs on your RS 6000 with this tiny little speaker here. Let's quit out of this. Or actually, let's load up Media Player or whatever. Let's Media Samples. Canyon.mid. I've added a few MIDI files here, but let's try Canyon.mid. The good old Windows mid. I copied it on here. Sounds like shit, doesn't it? Because it sure does to me. Let's try, let's play back an MPEG file.
Looks like you've been grinding a bit, Michael.
As you can see,
That's great.
it plays back the MPEG file with not a lot of colors.
You know, at the Olympics, IBM
And
has technologies from 10 different companies working together. They might be able to help you. Good. Now rinse.
I think it's pretty fitting that IBM would put one of their old commercials on here. And it's an MPEG file. There are not a lot of colors, as you can see, but what did you expect from an RS 6000? Or, well, something from this era. Let's play back some other clips. Slide 32.avi. Low frame rate. And you can tell that this was clearly designed to be played back on weaker RS 6000s too, like the 601s and the and probably maybe even a Power 2. So as you can see, they're not the highest quality files, probably low frame rate. And there's also an image. Wow, look at this cheesy 90s logo. And there's also some other media files here too. Look at all these low colors. So what do you do when you're done messing around with AIX and you're bored of like just running programs you found online? Well, here's what you do. Here's a folder I made, okay? So let's go to Files. Let's go to Quake 2. And let's play some good old Quake 2. Let's play some good old Quake 2 on AIX. As you can see, IBM GXT 2000. Loading. frame rate is really not the best. It's worse than it is on my Power 4, but it's Quake 2 on an IBM RS 6000 in 3D. The sound does seem to have a bit of issues though. There seems to be audio lag. There's some sound lag, but frame rate wise it's playable. It's pretty playable on this 43p. I'm only playing with one hand though, so can't really get the best kills, but it looks okay, I guess. I've seen worse. I mean, AIX didn't really have many games on it, and IBM's graphics options were never the best, but it's passable. It could be worse. I've probably seen it run on worse. Hard to play with one hand, but yes, you can see how it looks. Hold on. Let's hold this again. As you can see, the console output was all logged there. So yeah, as you can see, it looks passable. Not the best, but you know, could be worse. It's Quake 2 running on an IBM RS 6000. And the screensaver kicked in. So there we go. That's what Quake 2 looks like on the IBM. So there we have it. Let's log out. Let's shut her down. This is what the console login looks like on AIX 4. Apparently AIX 4 originally came out in 96, and this is a later version from 99. Little nice nifty logo I made for it. Now let's shut it down. Good old shutdown H now. I replaced the main shell with bash. It's now just shutting the system down. So there you have it. This is an IBM RS 6043P. Straight out of the 90s. Pretty fun, isn't it? Good old Unix workstation from back before tech became worry about the future. A relic of that time. And it still holds up pretty well, if you know what I mean. So there you go. Thanks for watching and subscribe for more.